All right, welcome. I believe the recording just started. My name is Natalie Haven. I am a ninth grade school counselor here at Spanish River. We are going to do this coffee talk, so grab your coffees and enjoy as we present. If you have questions as we go along, feel free to type it in the chat bar. Today, we are going to talk about GPA information. We have a couple counselors with us. Starting off for us is Miss Bustamante. I'm going to get in present mode, and she's going to start us off with our rules.
Hey, good morning, everybody. Thanks for being here. So just a couple rules before we get started. If you can please mute your mics. Again, like Ms. Haven said, this is going to be recorded and posted on the website, so feel free to have your camera off. If you do have questions, you can go ahead and type them in the chat bar, and then after the presentation, with time permitting, we'll address those questions. Additional questions will be addressed and posted on our website along with this video, so you can go back and watch it anytime. And then after the presentation, you'll receive a short survey via email. And if you could please fill it out just to give us back feedback, and it will help decide what future presentations we can offer everybody. So just keep an eye out for that. Okay, so today is all about GPA. So GPA is one of the most important factors considered with the college admissions process. And so there's GPA and HPA. GPA is grade point average, which is unweighted. And then HPA, honors point average, is weighted. And we'll get into what exactly that is in a bit. Just remember that these grades, these GPAs are not personal. These are earned by each student. Oh, you're muted, Ms. Havens.
Sorry about that. So it's important to note, for our ninth grade parents, Ms. Bustamante and I are going to be doing a GPA lesson that has a lot of this similar information for our ninth graders coming up later this month. But next up, we have Dr. Keller. He's our college and career coach, and he'll be continuing to talk to you about this GPA information.
All right, good morning, everyone. And as Ms. Havens indicated earlier, this is a coffee talk. So you may want to have your coffee because we're about to have a math lesson. I know that you didn't sign up for a math lesson, and some of you may not enjoy math. So I'm going to try to make this as painless as possible. But the better you understand how a GPA and an HPA is constructed, the easier it will be to have these conversations with your students or counselors or whomever you need to have this conversation with moving forward. Okay, so let's get into it. And as you have questions, please feel free to just unmute yourself and just go ahead and ask or type it in the chat, because this may get confusing given our different levels of math comprehension. All right, so here we go. All right, so first thing to note is we have a GPA and an HPA. The main difference is the GPA is old school, what we all remember. It is going to be the 0 to 4. And A is 4.0. An F, and we never like to speak about Fs, or a 0.0. Okay, and then everything fills in between. A B is 3, C is 2, a D is 1. To incentivize students to take higher level classes, we give them extra points for taking honors classes and AP or ACE classes. That also counts with dual enrollment. Dual enrollment will fall with the ACE and AP classes as well, on the same grading scale for the weighted scale. So each class, for an honors class, for instance, they will receive their GPA 0 to 4 in addition to a weighted HPA, okay? That's how students have a GPA and an HPA number, and oftentimes they're going to be different. If a student never takes an upper level class, honors, AP, ACE, dual enrollment, the GPA and the HPA will be identical. But if they even take one upper level class, one honors class, then there will be a distinction between the two. And the more classes that they take that are the upper level, there's going to be more of a distinction. Okay, so as you will look with the honors, we started at 4.5 for an A, and then every level down, we lose 0.125, all the way to where it gets down to a D, which is a 1.125. And with the ACE, the same thing. We started at 6.0 and we lose 1.5 for every level underneath. All right, so that is setting the standard. So hopefully everybody understands that. So now let's understand how a GPA is calculated. On the left-hand side, you're going to see the A through F scale again. We're going to assume that this hypothetical student, their grades are A, B, C, C, D, D, D. Okay, for one semester. Grades are populated at the semester. The quarters will make up the semester grade. So for the semester, they received those grades. We flip those grades, those letter grades, to to numbers, right? And then we're going to add up all of those, which equals 14. And then we divide by the total number of grades. This student's GPA is a 2.0. Although they had A's and B's, they still wind up with a C average. Okay, I hope I didn't lose anybody. Okay, so what we hear all the time from students who may start off and they struggle, they're like, I can fix my GPA. It's fine. I've got it under control. Yeah, I got some poor grades, but no worry. And yeah, they're right. They can. At any point in time that a student was to get better grades, that their GPA will improve. For universities, they're going to want a 3.0 GPA or higher. However, I'm going to show you how their beginning stages of their GPA will ultimately affect their ability to do so. Okay, we're going to start with scenario one. So a freshman, they finished their first year with a 2.0 GPA. In order to have a 3.0, they will need to receive all A's for their sophomore year. So anything less, they will not acquire 3.0 by the end of their sophomore year. But scenario two, we have same situation, student ended sophomore year with a 2.0, and they received all A's for their junior year. So scenario one, freshman, go, and then sophomore, all A's. Scenario two, we have a junior who they join their junior year with a 2.0, and then they get all A's for their junior year. They only have a 2.66 at the end of their junior year. Because this average, the more numbers we add to this average, the less impact every single number has. So it is very difficult for a student to start off poorly and then try to just flip a switch, and then all of a sudden they're a better student and their GPA improves drastically. The drastic movements happen early. Yes, do we have a question? All right, so we do have a couple questions. All right, so let's say a student has 2 to 3. I'm going to answer a couple questions right now, and then I'll continue. So let's say a student has a 2 to 3 ACE classes and manages to get A's across the board. About where would they land in points? Very, very hard to tell because it fluctuates. If they only have 2 to 3 AP classes, how many honors classes do they have? How many regular classes do they have? They're going to land above a 4.0 weighted GPA. That is for sure. Where they land within that scale depends on, how the other classes that they have. Okay, so that's where we're at. All right, so this is a lot to unpack, folks. So if you have questions, please ask. So now we're gonna, if this wasn't already complicated, let's get into the non-EOC classes and the EOC classes. So in your traditional fashion, you're going to have semester grades for each class. So English 1, you're going to have a semester 1 grade. You're going to have a semester 2 grade. Same thing with your world history classes. All of these classes, typically you have semester 1, semester 2. We have 4 classes that we have EOC classes. Okay, and they have an end of course exam, EOC. Those will not be given a semester grade. They will only be given 1 grade at the end of the year. So please do not panic when you receive a report card at the end of the first semester and your student has 6 semester grades and is missing 1. You're like, oh my God, what happened? They weren't issued a grade. No, if that class is algebra 1, geometry, US history, or biology, those 4 classes, year-long classes, will not receive a semester grade. All righty. So, all right, we're going to start with the bottom. Move your eyes to the bottom of this frame, and you will see that the non-EOC classes. So going back to those traditional classes that do issue a semester grade. That semester grade is broke up with a pretty easy calculation. First quarter will be 40% of the grade. Second quarter, another 40%. And the exam for the first semester, it will be the midterm exam. For the second semester, it will be the final exam. That will equal the calculation of the grade. 40, 40, 20. Pretty simple. Okay, unless you don't like math. But the EOCs, those 4 classes, Algebra 1, Geometry, Biology, US History, and I put them in a different order this time, just to make sure you're paying attention. Okay, they don't have the semester grade, and their calculation is significantly different, which can potentially benefit the student. So you have to stay with me because this is about to get very confusing. Take a larger sip of your coffee, put your seatbelt on, whatever you have to do. Okay, so 2 major components. We're going to have the school year. The school year is going to account for 70% of the total calculation of the grade. That chunk is first quarter, second quarter, third quarter, fourth quarter, all the quarters, and the midterm exam. Okay, that's going to be 70% of the grade. That EOC exam that they will take at the very end of the year counts for 30% of their grade. It is very, very important that they perform well on that exam. They study. There's a lot of preparation that happens in class for that exam. So with that 70%, it is broken up as you see on the screen. 15%, 15.4% for each quarter, and 8.4% for the midterm exam. So what you're taking from this is they want to do well in the course, obviously, but that's only 70%. That exam counts for essentially a third of their grade. So as far as the calculation is concerned. So do well in the class, do well in the exam, all is well. The exam, if they do exceptionally well in the exam, it can actually bring up a grade if they were to say have a B for the course, but do really well on the exam. It would be enough to bump them up to an A, just in case you're concerned. All right.
Thank you, Dr. Keller. We're going to continue with Dr. Keller, but we're looking at it. Dr. Keller's doing awesome. Thank you. But we're going to look at it another way, too. So I'm hoping this helps. Dr. Keller can continue. I think you guys like hearing from him. I enjoy his commentary.
I just had to pause myself so I could take a sip of my own coffee.
More ways to look at how it works.
There are more ways to look at how it works.
You kind of explained it, but.
Okay. So, yeah. So this is essentially what we just spoke about, that same breakdown. Quarter 1, 40%, quarter 2, 40%, exam 20%. So notice the difference between an EOC class and your traditional semester awarding class. The emphasis for your standard semester classes, the emphasis is what happens in the classroom, because that counts for 80% of the grade, as opposed to an EOC class, which only 70% of the grade is derived from classroom stuff. So with the EOC, 30% of the grade is locked into the exam, while with the traditional semester classes, 20% is locked into the exams. Oh, look at that. This a slide that matches. So
yeah, this is the slide that kind of matches how you were saying it. You'll see the percentages are a little bit different here because you're looking at 70% of the quarters and midterm. Each are 22%. Each quarter is 22%. So this first quarter coming up, October 14th, it ends. 22% of that is that grade they're going to earn is worth 22% of the 70%. It is confusing. Dr. Keller explained it nicely.
Yeah, it's extremely confusing, but the main takeaway from this is that any EOC classes, one, will not be issued a semester grade, and two, a larger chunk of their grade is derived from the exam at the end of the year. That is the main takeaway from this. Like, we can get caught up in these little percentages and it's going to drive you crazy. I assure you it will. But the main takeaway is that EOC at the end of the class is paramount for the students because it can make or break a grade. So because 30%, 1/3 of their grade is tied into this exam, they want to do really well. That's the main takeaway, that not to be confused with all of the percentages.
Yes. And then for the majority of our classes, the non-EOC classes, this chart, it's something that we give and go over with our 9th graders. Sometimes they'll earn a certain grade one quarter and they're like, okay, what do I need to get the next quarter in on the exam to get the final semester grade? So we use this chart, and you, again, will be able to access it on our website. This presentation will be up. So if you're ever like curious, of course, you can do the math at home, but this is an easy chart to look at. Like, if I failed one quarter, but I get a B the next quarter and an A, B, or C on this semester exam, I can still get a C for the semester. So something like that. Not that we want anyone failing, but it's something we go over with.
Yeah. So this way with this chart, you just know the calculations of the actual mathematical breakdown so that you don't have to be doing the math in your head with the 40-40-20 split. Okay, there is a question in the chat that is regarding ACE and AP classes versus honors classes. I want to make a strong distinction here that any of those upper level classes favor students. Nothing with taking AP classes or ACE classes or dual enrollment versus honors, nothing is dragging down a GPA of sorts. If a student is taking upper level classes at all, honors, AP, ACE, dual enrollment, and they are performing well, that is what is important. Students need to find balance. What you will see a lot of times is everybody has this, misconception. I have to take ACE, AP, dual enrollment classes, or I'm not going to college. I'm not going to be successful. My GPA is going to suffer. That is anything but the truth. As you will notice, if a student was to take all honors classes and happen to get all A's, they will have a 4.5 weighted GPA, which is extremely impressive. There is this notion that taking honors classes is a detriment to a transcript in lieu of taking AP or ACE classes. That is not factual. They need to find their balance, what they can handle. Every student is different. Some students can take a serious load of AP and ACE classes, and others cannot. But rigor and performance, there needs to be a marriage between the two. Students need to find where they align with that, and then that's the secret sauce, as opposed to kind of just being strategic and I need this many AP classes, but I'm struggling. Have to find that balance. Okay, where are we with the slides? I'm getting a little off topic here.
Okay, I'm gonna go back to where we ended at the EOC. And Dr. Keller, you've been amazing. Thank you so much. We have Ms. Abramowitz, who is gonna talk about our next slide for grade forgiveness.
Hello, thank you so much for joining us today. So we're going to talk about grade forgiveness now. In order for students to graduate high school, they're going to need a 2.0 GPA, which means they have to have a C average or better in all the classes. But this is just to graduate high school. Remember, if they're looking to go to a 4-year university, they should be getting at least a 3.0 GPA or higher. So let's say if student earns a D or an F for a semester or a year-long grade, they can take that class over for grade forgiveness, and they can do that through Florida Virtual School, or they can take a class here at Spanish River called Study Hall, where they will be basically retaking that semester class or the year-long class. It will stay on their transcript, but it will not be on their Spanish River High School GPA. So remember, if you have a student that does get a D or an F, they still can make that up later on. Next slide. Thank you. Okay, graduation requirements. In order to graduate high school, they're going to need 24 credits. One of those credits have to be virtual class online, and they can take an easy class for the virtual, like social media, driver's ed, peer counseling, or they can do any other electives there for them. They would just have to sign up, and it's one class that is virtual. They must pass the FSA in their 10th grade with a level 3 or above. They also must pass Algebra 1 EOC with a level 3 or above. They should have a 2.0 GPA on all of their courses. Remember, the higher GPA, the better it is. They should have 1 physical education credit. So they can take a class here, which is the team sports and personal fitness class, or they can do Hope on Florida virtual. Or another way to earn this is if they have 2 years at a JV or varsity sport. That way they can fulfill that PE credit. But if they do that, they also have the ability, if they're in a marching band, they can get half a credit for that as the sport portion, but they will still need to take the personal fitness class online. They're also going to need 1 practical or performing fine arts credit. That could be an art class, the digital information technology classes we have, computer fundamentals, theater, chorus, any of those classes will count for that performing fine art credit. They also must have 20 hours of community service, and they should have turned this in by their junior year, December of the junior year. We're always trying to push students to, of course, have more community service hours if they can, but the minimum they need in order to graduate, it's going to be 20 hours of community service. Does 3D art count? Yes, it does. Also, just so you guys know, if they're going to be earning the ACE diploma, they do not have to take the online class, but they should still work on their community service hours.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Mrs. Bromowitz.
Welcome.
We just wanted to let you know that it's peer tutoring. So our National Honor Society, which are juniors and seniors, those students are offering tutoring daily. I didn't update this, I apologize. They're offering tutoring daily each lunch. One of the lunches is in room 1153. The other one is in the media center. The first lunch is in media center. The second lunch is in 1153. I'll update this before I post the presentation. And students can go at the beginning of their lunch, bring their food, be paired up. We also have the math club that offers tutoring on Tuesdays and Thursdays during lunches. So we do have some resources here. Sometimes it's nice for our students to hear from other students. Maybe those students have had that teacher or just have a nice way of speaking to them and teaching them and giving them another perspective. So if your student is struggling at home, encourage them to take up on our services here. And that's it. Thank you so much for joining us. We are going to give you time if you want to type in questions. Feel free. After I see there's not a lot of typing, I can take the recording off. And if you want to talk, your face won't pop up on the recording. Just to remember, a short survey is going to be emailed to you. We appreciate it so much if you're able to fill it out. We try to keep it super short, like under 5 minutes for you to fill it out. It's just to give us feedback, show our administration, how you're liking this, if you're liking this, to see if we can continue these coffee talks. Thank you so much to our counselors who are here. Our counselors will be typing back, answering questions, or even talking out loud. Just for recording's sake, just wanted to let a couple questions that were asked about, like, when does the GPA start? And that was answered as soon as they take a high school credit. So some of our incoming 9th graders have already taken high school classes, so their GPA has already started. And some who have never taken a high school class, they'll get the first GPA will start after first semester. So first quarter is coming to an end, then we'll have second quarter come to an end right before winter break, and their GPA will be put in place then. All right, let's see if we have any more questions.
Someone had a question about the community service form. I just wanted to let you know, if you go on the Spanish River website and then click on school info, there's a tab that says community service opportunities. And then once you click that, then there's another tab that says community service form, and that has the form for you.
Awesome. Thanks, Ms. Garney. Ms. Garney is our school counselor for 10th through 12th. R to Z, I believe, is the alpha she has. it says it right there on the form about our administrator over at Miss Mara Gorange. It has her email there, so students can take a picture of the form and submit it. It's always important for them to have a copy too, just in case their hours don't populate on there or something got missed. They'll have a copy for backup purposes. And it was asked about community service hours for Bright Futures, and that was answered on our chat bar. There's 100 hours that a student should aim for Bright Futures, 75 to 100, but 100 gets the 100% tuition funded. So have your student go for 100 hours. Let's see other questions. If only bio class students take ACE Bio, do they still need to take Bio EOC to satisfy graduation requirement?
They do. They do not. The bio EOC is not a graduation requirement. However, it does impact 30% of their grade if they're in an EOC testing class. ACE Bio will not take the EOC in most cases, and a passing score on the ACE exam for bio will give them a concordant score for the bio EOC.
Awesome. Thanks, Dr. Keller. Yeah, the only EOC required for graduation is Algebra 1 EOC. Just to confuse you more, this year and last year, because of COVID, they're offering concordant scores for geometry EOC for the algebra EOC. If a student wants a scholar designation, just add more confusion. Yeah, take all the EOCs, but like Dr. Keller said, if they pass the ACE exam, it gives them the concordant score for the bio EOC. One question was, when will the students' FLVS grades from last year be updated in SIS? If they took FLVS through Palm Beach, it should be automatic. If it's not in there, if you are able to, sometimes we receive automatically the final grade report, and as school counselors, we put that in. If it's been a while, maybe that got kind of lost, so it would be helpful for you to email the school counselor for that, for your son or daughter, the final grade report, and then it can be updated in SIS. But yeah, you can check SIS under the grades anytime, and it should be in there. Thank you guys so much for coming. We have our next one Friday, November 5th at 8 a.m. I'm going to stop recording, and then if anybody would like to ask questions, they may just kind of speak up if you'd like.